All right. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. Whatever time it is when you hear this message, I pray that you're poised to receive, to accept, and to respond to words of wisdom. Ashe. You know, when you don't know your value, it is impossible for you to properly estimate your worth. When you don't know your value, it's impossible for you to properly estimate your worth. What do I mean? Value is what you bring to the table. It isn't just your potential, though, it is how things are quantifiably different as a direct result of your presence and your contribution. When I'm here, this happens. When I'm not here, this doesn't happen. When I put this in place, these are the outcomes. If I withdraw what I've put in place, you don't get those same outcomes. My value is the difference that I make, the difference that my knowledge makes, the difference that my contribution makes. You can see it's like an umbrella. It's raining and the umbrella's up and you stay dry, right? That's the actual value. If you don't know your value, then you cannot properly evaluate your worth. Your worth is what you can fetch, somebody how much you can charge for bringing the value. It isn't necessarily what someone can afford. You may not be able to afford my worth. My rate may be beyond what your budget will accommodate. But just because your budget can only pay me $1 doesn't mean that I don't know that there's people over here whose budget will pay me $10, right? Same value. I know if I bring this system and this effort and this knowledge base and add value in this place, you can only give me $1. It's only worth $1 over here, right? But over in another place, it's worth $10. The Africans will say a chicken is worth more in the market than it is in the pot. Chicken is worth more in the market than it is in the pot. Meaning you got a chicken in the backyard and you could slaughter it and you could eat it, right? Or you could slaughter it and you could take it to the market and you could sell it for, $1 a piece, each piece for $1, and then you could go buy 5 more chickens, right? So you have to be able to do that kind of calculation though on your own efforts and your own contribution to be able to properly say, I know what I'm worth. And this brings me to um, Coach Prime. And so it's fantastic that you can see, even in the name that he selected for himself, he knows his value and he knows his worth. He is prime. When something is prime, it's the standard of excellence, it's the pinnacle, right? When you're in the prime of your life, you're the prime of your career. Okay. He is prime. He's not somebody that you can, underestimate. He's proven himself as an athlete. He's world class. Football, baseball. He's world class as an athlete. He broke records, and I'm not a sports fan, so I have to speak in generalities. But I know enough about Deion Sanders to know that he was an exceptional player, particularly football. I didn't really see him so much in baseball, but in football, I know that he was exceptional. Okay, and then he did what very few players can do. He went from playing to coaching. And he didn't just coach, he took Jackson State from whatever their record was to undefeated 2 seasons in a row. Not only did he do that, he brought his own children along to join the school. They became students at Jackson State. Not only did he do that, he totally rebuilt the program, rebuilt the locker room, brought all kinds of funding. I mean, and not only that, now, I'm not even following Deion Sanders. These are things that I'm just picking up by and by. He did this in the face of a debilitating disease. Some kind of an ailment had this brother bedridden, not just like for a couple of days. I mean, it's a recurring thing. He's so debilitated at times that he can't walk. He has to get on a golf cart to conduct practice. This is a recurring thing. This is what he's dealing with on a week to week basis. And in spite of all that, everything about what he has done has been prime. So Deion Sanders knows his value. He knows the value that he adds to that environment. And he knows what it's worth. He knows what it's worth in other places, at Notre Dame, at UCLA, at USC. He knows what it's worth at Colorado. And so that brings us to where we are right now. Coach Prime has gone from Jackson State to Colorado. And some of us, a lot of us, probably all of us at some level are saddened by that reality, because we know that the value that he brings to Jackson State is going to be exponentially more broad than it's going to be at Colorado, right? Everything that he does at Jackson State is adding to the entire environment. Whereas at Colorado, we can expect that it to be relegated to, just straight ahead football. Okay. But as much as I would like for Deion Sanders to stay at Jackson State, I want to harken back to one conversation that I saw that I want you to grab a hold to, and I want you to really take into consideration, because Deion Sanders is Deion Sanders. He's out there. They're out there in a different world than you and I are living in. They're operating on a different level with a whole different set of players. The dynamics and the politics are entirely different. But this is something that you and I can relate to. This is a part of our everyday reality. All right. The lesson that I want to share with you is this. There was a brother on the ground at Jackson State. And what I mean is that I saw in interviews, brothers wearing, he had the Jackson State hat, he had a Jackson State sweatshirt. I want to say it was said like father, maybe it's like Jackson State father or something. So maybe this brother was a parent at Jackson State. But one of the things that he said that I found most poignant and most applicable to our understanding of the situation, and sets us up for making different decisions in this dynamic, is this. He said that he knows for sure that at other colleges and universities in the region, there are other coaches who don't have the same kind of track record as Coach Prime, and they make a little bit more in salary, but the way they're being compensated overall is exponentially higher. The other coaches who aren't doing as well as Coach Prime, they do make a slightly more, a higher salary, but really where these guys are really being treated is in the overall package. It isn't just the university pays them a salary, it's that the entire community has given them a deal that they can't refuse. Meaning, if you go to a university and you know how big football is here in the United States, particularly in the South, when football season comes, the restaurants get a boom. The hotels, the Airbnbs, the nightclubs, the bars, the shopping centers, rental car agencies, you go down the line, everybody gets paid bonuses for the entire football season. So since those folks are benefiting from what this coach is offering, as through football or through basketball or baseball, whatever the sports are in that environment, they all rally around and they make sure that they put together a package for this coach that says, look, we got you taken care of. The university is going to pay you the best salary that they can, but we're going to make sure that everything else in your life is totally cushy. You don't want to go anywhere else. And he says, I'd never heard anything here in Jackson to that effect. I never heard of what we as a community were offering Coach Prime. I heard what Colorado was offering. I heard Coach Prime say he wanted to stay here in Jackson, but I never heard the university say that this is what we're offering him. I never heard the Jackson community come together to say, this is what we're offering him. And this is the part that I think is significant for us as a community. What do you do when you see people, our people, make a meaningful contribution to our quality of life? What do? How do you respond when you see someone doing good? I mean, someone being nice, someone being helpful, someone doing a good job. When you encounter someone who is just doing a top-notch job at whatever they do in our community, how do you respond to that person? You take it for granted? Or do you celebrate that person? Do you praise that person? Do you go out of your way to acknowledge that this person is doing something above and beyond? Because I personally can tell you, I've worked both sides of the spectrum. I worked downtown. I worked in industry, right? And I've worked in places where I had, you know, predominantly white or not African American clientele. I've had, those situations. And in both situations, I got to tell you, number one, they pay me more. They pay me on time. They give me less static, and they offer me above and beyond. They do other things for me that I don't ask for. I don't even think about it, but they just do things for me. Right? Likewise, I worked in the community for my community. And people pay me less. They want a discount. They pay me late. They give me a hard time about anything that they could possibly give me a hard time about, right? And if I decide to do something different, then some people even want to criticize me for doing something different, doing something easier, doing something more lucrative. And, we got to let that go. We can't have it both ways. If you want the best, then you've got to understand that everybody wants the best. Everybody wants the best. And people can see the best. The best is the best. You can identify it from a distance. And I think that one of the core difficulties we have is that we within ourselves don't always recognize our own value. We don't recognize our own worth. And as a result, it makes it difficult for us to recognize the value that our contemporaries bring. It makes it difficult for us to really evaluate the worth of our contemporaries. We take each other for granted. We underestimate each other because we undervalue ourselves. And it's something that sets the stage for other groups of people to take advantage of the fact that they know, hey, I know your own people are only going to give you $1. I'll give you 10 though. Easy. Any day of the week, you can just kind of go and cherry pick. You can go through our community and say, I know that if these people are over there serving in their own community, they're being underpaid and undervalued. Let's go get them. Let's go find the best of the best, pick them out and bring them over here. And it doesn't have to be that way, because as we look at the situation with Coach Prime, I really, really strongly resonated with this brother, what he said on the ground. We never even heard what the offer was. I've never even heard that Jackson is trying to, keep Coach Prime here. But I know for sure that there are other coaches who just make a little bit more, but their life is so much better because of the local community has rallied around to make sure that these people are completely satisfied. And so it doesn't just begin with the celebrities. It doesn't just begin with the recognized leaders. It begins on an interpersonal level. Like I said, it begins with seeing somebody doing a good job. It begins with seeing somebody make a meaningful contribution and making sure that you let those people, at the very least, acknowledging you're an exceptional contributor. What you're doing is really making a real difference. It starts with that. But then from that, it also goes to recognizing, well, if we can see that if I'm getting the benefit of this, then that means this person could actually be doing this elsewhere too. They're choosing to be here. Hey, folks, how can we get together to make sure that this person never wants to go away? How do we make it so that this person who is adding value to our lives, how can we make it our duty to add value to their lives? How can we make sure that we're taking care of the people who are taking care of us? How can we make sure that we are enriching the people who are enriching us? How can we make sure that we are supporting the people who are supporting us? How? That is the real lesson that we need to take away from this situation with Coach Prime and the Jackson State, Colorado dynamic. This is a call for us to look at the value that people add in our community, us recognizing the worth of that contribution, and our concerted effort to demonstrate an understanding and appreciation of that value and giving everything that we possibly can to match what the people are worth who are adding value to our lives and to the condition of our experience. Okay. This is a message especially for the leaders. As always, this is crucial for you as a leader. If you're a leader, you already know what I'm talking about, because I'm looking for leaders. I'm looking for people who are determined to improve the world through positive influence. If you're one of those people, I want you to find out how Obafemi Origunwa and the Orisha Lifestyle Academy can help you take your practice and your life to the next level. I really look forward to working with you. Join me at obafemio.com or orishalifestyle.com, and let's start living the medicine that will heal your life and heal the lives of those who you are destined to serve. We were born for this. I'll see you soon. Odabo.